Hello everyone, welcome back to SAYAM DRAWS Radio. So glad you could join me today. Let's continue on with our animation of that. Working on the next frame here. Just gotta check my reference real quick. Dancing is a medium that I was never good at. I did have opportunities to dance and such, but always my dancing comes out a little bit stiff and robotic. Of course, that could be something that any person goes through, when they're first learning something. For me personally, I think it would take a long time for me to get good at dancing. I think I'd like to. One day, if I ever have more time to spare, to just spend some of that time. Practicing dancing. There's a lot of forms of dancing too. There's ballet, pop, all different kinds. Personally for me, I just prefer pop or something like that. Nothing too artsy like ballet. But so since I'm unable to be good at dancing, this is a great way for me to sort of live out my dancing fantasies, I suppose. I think that's one of the sort of joys of being able to draw or animate. And drawing is good because there's the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama. He spoke about how, as a kid, his family didn't have much money, so instead he would draw the things that he wanted. And drawing allows that. It allows you to be able to sort of live out a dream or something like that. So that's what I'm doing here. Just kind of living out a dancing fantasy. So animation is very nice because it can take that a step further, and instead of just having a still picture of something, you can give it life. And so it makes whatever thing you wanted become more real. And maybe by doing that, you'll make enough money to actually buy the thing that you wanted in real life. Who knows? I'm sure that happened for Akira Toriyama. Once he got famous. I really admire Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball. There's a book that was published called Akira Toriyama's, I think, Manga Theater, and it showcases all the work that he did before he created Dragon Ball. And he has a ton of short stories that he did before that. And all of them, didn't become successful. They didn't succeed. Some of them are failures. But it just goes to show you how his persistence and his perseverance really paid off. Right, because after all those failures, he finally did find success. So that's very encouraging for me. Because that's how it works. You don't just become a famous manga artist overnight. It takes time, it takes failure, it takes perseverance. And now, apparently, according to that manga theater, since it was published after his retirement, apparently he just raises fish now. Apparently quite enjoys it. I can't ever imagine raising fish, honestly. Sounds pretty boring to me. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who enjoy it, but I don't think that would ever be for me. Same thing with gardening. I can't stand it. I've done a bit of it, have a bit of experience in it, but I really just can't handle gardening at all. Can't stand putting fertilizer in the soil, pulling out weeds, watering it, painting it with I don't know, it's some kind of material that prevents it from getting disease or fungus, pruning the trees, getting rid of ants whenever they appear. It's just, I don't know. For me, it's not for me. At least in my age, right? Because from what I've seen, it's usually older people who enjoy doing that kind of stuff. For me, it's not my thing. Then again, I suppose, if you think about it, animation is not too different from gardening. It's just a lot of tedious work. It's nothing... it's a lot of tedious work, right? And you just do it because you enjoy it, so... I suppose it's the same sort of mentality for a gardener. Today I spent a bit of time with a friend, had some hot pot. Really like the spicy hot pot, and they put in some strange pepper that it numbs your tongue a little bit. Doesn't even have a flavor necessarily. It just numbs the senses, and it's a very interesting sort of feeling, I guess. One thing I always wanted to try animating is fight scenes, action. I've spoken before about how I'm a big fan of character acting, and I do really enjoy animation that really captures a character beautifully. I've spoken about the movie Lock with Tom Hardy, and just about how his performance in that is just impeccable. But animation, of course, action scenes are also something I'd like to try animating sometime in the future. But you know who I think does action best is Korean directors. Of course, I can't speak for any other countries' action directors, like Japan or China or whatever other country, European countries and stuff like that, because I only know Hollywood and a bit of Korean movies. But when you compare the action scenes between a Korean movie and an American movie, you're really going to find something different. And I guess I can actually also speak a little bit about Chinese movies, because I've seen movies like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Bruce Lee. And they also have their own different character. But I'll be honest, I still think Korean directors do it best, and I'll explain why. Hollywood action is good, it's not bad, but they make out the main character to be too strong. Whether he's a superhero or like a police guy or just some vigilante, they're always too strong. They always defeat the bad guys like they're some kind of like vases. Just hit them once and they shatter. And that's honestly, it's not good enough. It's cool, they got cool moves and stuff, but then it just feels like I'm watching some it feels like I'm watching a dance. Like he's dancing, all the moves are choreographed perfectly, timed perfectly. The bad guys are where they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be exactly the moment that he strikes. And dancing is good, but it's not good enough for action. Same thing for Chinese movies. Now, Chinese movies are a bit different because, well, number one, their actors actually can fight, so it's much cooler. But they also suffer a little bit from the same sort of error, which is that their fights are too choreographed too perfectly. They're always in a perfect stance. They're always, even though they're hit hard, they stand up straight right away, ready to take the match further. And it sort of suffers from that same error of being choreographed too perfectly. They will show the main character getting hurt, especially Jackie Chan. But again, the fight scenes are too choreographed. They're timed well. It's just, they're timed well. They're well planned out. Now, the reason why I think Korean directors are so good at action is because they're able to make a fight look really raw and really natural. That's why watching a real boxing match is totally different from watching a movie, because in a boxing match, things are fluid, things are spontaneous. You don't know what's going to happen. You're going to get hurt, and the effects of being hurt are going to prevent you from fighting at your full capacity, and things are moving fast and stuff like that. I think Korean directors do a really good job of capturing the natural essence of a fight. Nothing's choreographed in a fight. Nothing's choreographed. It's not planned out. You can predict somebody's moves, but it's not certain. There's always uncertainty to it. There's always a reaction time that could be too slow or too fast. And so that's why I think Korean directors are really good at that, because there's quite a few movies I've seen where it's just like you feel that raw energy of a fight. The main character gets hurt, his bones get broken, and you see that, and they are incapacitated because of that. Like Korean directors, they won't try to make the main character a superhero, really. They'll make them very human. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy Korean action so much. And I think it'd be pretty difficult to get that kind of raw action scene in animation too, because number one, it's just difficult to animate an action scene in the first place, but secondly, animation has a lot to do with proper timing, proper planning. So if you're going to try to be very spontaneous with it, you definitely need to be good at, number one, being a good animator with good timing and all that, but at the same time, plan out chaos, basically. That's the way I would put it. You have to plan chaos, right? Some people, that kind of comes naturally, but others, you're going to have to kind of break out of your mold to achieve that. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me on SAYAM Draws Radio. I hope to see you guys again soon, and until then, I hope you have a great day, or a good night, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.